Hey, this is Joe at graybenchelec. Welcome back to the pedal teardown series where I take apart new and interesting pedals and show you what's going on inside. Today we have the T-Rex Replicator D'luxe. All right, here's the T-Rex Replicator D'luxe version. This is a tape echo from T-Rex. Full confession, I don't know much about tape echoes. It's not really my wheelhouse. But you know, if you wanted a tape echo outside of or before this pedal came out, you more or less had to go vintage, like an old Echoplex or the Roland Space Echo, or you had to build something yourself. But now we have a modern tape echo made by T-Rex here. There have been a few versions of this pedal now. It came in, the original one I believe is a little bit bigger, and then they had sort of a smaller, more mobile one, I guess you could say. And now the D'luxe version here. I believe the main difference between these is that you can sort of lock the record and play heads back, so it's safer to travel with. If you travel with the record and play heads pushed up against the tape, you can essentially damage the tape. In fact, I believe that happened to this one here because the tape, when you play it, it has a little like tick every time the tape moves past a certain spot. Someone didn't lock it back when they were moving it around. But the cool part about that is if you damage the tape, then you can just replace this cartridge here. So the process for that is to lock the tape deck back, which it currently is locked. This is what it looks like. If you want to release the tape deck, you can pull down this little plunger, lift up, or pull down this lever, lift up this little plunger here, tape deck release, and then let go, and that pushes the playheads up against the tape there, so now you can start playing. But if you want to remove this cartridge and put in a new tape, then you can pull down the lock here, and that'll drop this piece, and then pull out the screw on the tape, like so, and then pull this down again and just lift this piece out, like that. And then you can see there is the tape, and you can presumably buy more of these from T-Rex, not sure how much they are. So let's go ahead and put that one back in. It does have a couple little spots that it fits into, so make sure it's dropped into that. Yeah, it should sit flush like that. And once it's locked in, then you can take your screw, screw that back in, and now the tape is locked into place, and you can pull up to release the heads, play it, and when you want to be done with it or move the pedal around, you just lock the tape deck back and you can move around without risking damaging the tape. So that's the idea. These other two screws here, they seem to control like this outer metal piece. Not exactly sure what's going on there. I'm just leaving them sort of lightly finger tight and calling it good there. Our controls down here, so these are little potentiometers that you can push down and sort of sink back into the enclosure here, similar to like the tone lock from Ibanez. And we have a dry level, so that's going to be the level of your guitar, just a dry signal. Feedback, that's going to be the number of repeats essentially. And time is going to be the distance in time between repeats. There's also short and long. And these are selecting between two different playheads. With a short, you can get more of a sort of slapback sound with the feedback pulled down for just one repeat. And for long, you get more like sort of long ethereal delay sounds. What I found playing this is that this pedal very readily wants to go into oscillation. Pushing the feedback even like a little bit past 1 or 2 o'clock, it'll just start to oscillate, which I think is a feature, not a bug. Seems like a lot of people like to do that, which is cool. Foot switches, we have non-latching foot switches, so we're going to be expecting to see relays inside. We also have a tap tempo, which as far as I know was not on any other tape echo pedals, like real tape echo pedals, so that's a cool innovation from T-Rex. On the top here, we've got the Replicator logo, input and output jacks with the sort of Neutrik style with the plastic shoulder washer there. Another syncing tone lock style potentiometer that says saturation, so that's going to be just a gain control somewhere. And then kill dry, which presumably is going to cut out the dry signal, the initial, not repeat, the initial sound of the guitar, and you're just going to hear repeats. DC jack here is PCB mounted, 12 volts DC at 300 milliamps, and it says use the original adapter. And then on the back, we've got some rubber feet. We've got different manufacturer markings from T-Rex and whatnot, and our back cover. So construction here is sort of a two-piece construction. We've got this black folded back panel and then a larger sort of bronze anodized folded top piece. That's a pretty solid thickness there. 4 millimeters on the thickness on the top there. So nice and stable for that tape deck. All right, so let's go ahead and crack the pedal open. All right, so got the back door off finally. It's really wedged into the upper enclosure here. But now that we have it off, we can see the insides of the T-Rex Replicator D'luxe. So we have a large main PCB here. We have a secondary PCB that holds the syncing potentiometers. And we've also got a little daughter board here as well for the input jacks and the other controls on the back. Ribbon cable connects that board. Ribbon cables connect these as well. We can see that our design here is mostly surface mount. We've got a couple little trim pots here for tuning the pedal. A bunch of logic stuff happening down here. A multi-pin chip down there. 16 or 14 pin chip there. We can see the inner workings of those syncing potentiometers now. I'm sure there's a better name for it than that, but like I said, you can push it down and it gives room in this area for the shaft to sink down into, and then it pops out when you want to make an adjustment. There's our little short and long switches down there. PCB is screwed in here with these little PCB mounted threaded bits here. Our foot switches are not really like packaged foot switches like we think of. They're just sort of a foot button that comes and presses on a PCB mounted switch there. So sort of similar to how Boss pedals work. There's our LED sitting in its Fresnel lens there. Little metal standoffs. Same thing on this side. Foot switch is just pressing on a PCB mounted switch. You can see on the edges here these little tabs. These are part of the outer shield here. There is the motor that drives the wheel for the tape, and there's also the brass wheel there. I want to call it a flywheel. I don't know if that's what it's called, but it's got that little red rubber band that drives the wheel with the motor. Interesting that this bracket here, this white bracket, is actually 3D printed. You can actually see the layers of the print and the sort of cross-hatching pattern that 3D printing makes. So there's an example of 3D printing being integrated into a mass production item. Obviously that's been the case for at least a few years now, where 3D printing has regularly been used in mass production. But it's interesting, I haven't seen it in a guitar pedal before, so that's cool. As you can see here, this part of the enclosure is in the white, so it can make good contact with the lid back here for good EMI protection. We've got shielded wire here being used throughout, presumably carrying the audio path, and then we have unshielded wire here that's controlling the motor for the pedal. A couple little drops of hot glue just providing strain relief for the different wires. Here is a relay right there. PCB down here is marked Replicator D'luxe main PCB version 2.1. There are little header pins sticking out of the PCB down here, presumably for testing during the build. Other than that, it's a pretty solid build from T-Rex here. Not surprised, T-Rex is a pretty reputable company, so wouldn't expect anything wild under here. Yeah, so that's the inside of the T-Rex Replicator D'luxe. Let's go ahead and put the pedal back together. All right, so that was a teardown of the T-Rex Replicator D'luxe. If you have any questions or recommendations for a pedal you want to see on a future teardown episode, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate you hitting the like button and subscribing, and hit the notification bell if you want to know when I make a new video. I am Joe from Graybench Electronics. Thank you for watching.